Hi there, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm 26 years old. When I was a little child, my parents sadly died in a car accident, leaving me an orphan. Since they didn't have any family to care for me, I was placed in an orphanage. I spent around 3 years there before I was adopted. The fact that my adopted parents became billionaires had a profound impact on my life. Next, I had a successful and fulfilling life. To avoid drawing too much attention to my adoption, they kept it a secret. Their guiding principle was to carry out beneficial activities without drawing undue attention to oneself. After I became an adult and moved out on my own, my adoptive parents decided to expand their business. In pursuit of fresh opportunities, they journeyed to Europe. During this time, I met Stephen, who is currently my ex-husband. When we initially met in college, we clicked right away. After just a few conversations, I found that I really liked him. We formally started dating as we went on more dates. Stephen was a friendly and cheerful man. We seemed to have the perfect connection. But there was an important issue. Stephen's family didn't like me. It was after we graduated from college that I first met them. Stephen didn't want to show me his parents until we were both established in our lives, meaning we both had good careers. He had told me that his parents might be a little judgmental about who their children dated, so he wanted me to come across well. I was nervous to meet them. By the time Stephen introduced me to his parents, we had been dating for 4 years and were engaged. I thought that it may complicate things because his parents didn't know that I was his girlfriend. I remember being anxious the day before a meeting with Stephen. They are going to hate me. I told him he wouldn't. Stephen comforted me, I swear. Do you really think people won't be shocked to find out we're engaged? Yes, but I don't think it will be a big deal. Are you serious? You wanted to introduce me to them because you knew their importance. Do you really think they won't judge me much more if I tell them we're engaged? Will their opinions actually matter if they do? I don't know about you, but I won't care. You always seem to be so considerate of what they think. I promise. It won't affect me at all. Elizabeth, if you agree, would you recommend delaying the announcement of our engagement for a month or two? Will that improve your overall mood about the situation? Whatever you decide, I don't care. I think we should keep it a secret for now, just in case I'll do anything to impress them. You don't have to worry. I'll be with you no matter what. Regards, Stephen. The main reason I had been so anxious was that every time I suggested that Stephen tell his parents about me, he would become upset and say that they wouldn't approve. I started to understand his feelings. Stephen's family was quite wealthy and enjoyed living in luxury. They only accepted their children and dated people who were as affluent as they were, or even more so at the time, so my existence didn't meet their concept of wealth. I didn't think I needed to share a lot of my family's history with Stephen. By the time I realized why he was so reluctant to let me meet his parents, I also thought it was less important that they knew who my dad was. Instead of my past, I wanted them to like me for who I am. I was wrong to think that they would value me without taking my financial situation into account. We decided to meet Stephen's parents at a fancy restaurant, and as soon as we walked in, Stephen took my hand tightly. I wore my engagement ring around my neck to keep it close without drawing attention to it, but as soon as we arrived at our table, I could tell that his parents were already very angry. We were already off to a bad start because we had been exactly 2 minutes late, so Stephen told me to expect that. His parents looked at me disdainfully and then ignored me for a while when talking to Stephen. I felt so unimportant in their presence, and the longer they pretended that I wasn't there, the more I wanted to get away. Until Stephen finally spoke up to get their attention, I tried to keep my head down and avoid their eyes. You can't just keep talking to me like this. This is my amazing girlfriend. Hi, Elizabeth. I'm glad to have met you both. I said, wishing I could say the same thing honestly. Hello, his mother said coldly. What surprised me was that she said, I'm just telling the truth. Elizabeth, then. I've heard that Stephen and you met at college. Is that right? She continued. Yes, we did. We just happened to take a few of the same classes. How did you get into this college? From what I understand, it's a tough school to get into, and the tuition is pretty expensive. That's enough, Dad. Stephen interrupted. That's not how you'll talk to your father. He has a valid question. I had a full ride there, and in addition to learning a lot, I also got to meet Stephen, which has been one of the nicest things that has ever happened to me, and for that I am truly thankful. It's among the best things for you, of course. His mother sneered. You need that type of money and he's loaded. Come on, Stephen yelled fiercely. We're going, Elizabeth. I was so shocked by his parents' treatment of me that I couldn't even consider how I felt. Stephen was so furious that there was no sound during the drive home, and he asked me how I was doing when we finally arrived at our house. However, at the time, I wasn't really sure how I felt. After that awful meal, I had made sure to sit properly, and I had dressed nicely, but somehow I didn't say anything, and I hadn't ordered anything expensive yet. After a month or so, Stephen texted his parents to let them know he was engaged, but he didn't respond right away. Even though they were upset about the news, Stephen told them he wouldn't contact them again if they said anything negative about me. Our wedding was paid for by Stephen's parents, but only if they had total control over the decisions, and since neither of us wanted that, we decided that elopement was the best option. My adoptive parents knew about our elopement plot, even though they were in Europe, and they gave Stephen and me a present because they were happy that I was happy. We met Laura and Eric at a party they hosted to celebrate their anniversary after we were married. To be honest, they invited me, which made me happy in a manner. Stephen raised his eyebrows when they presented us with a pretty expensive painting, but I brushed it off, thinking they just had the money to buy it. Even though they didn't seem to like me when we arrived, everyone ignored me. If you find it awkward when two people ignore you, try being ignored. By the time I was 30, I was still close to Stephen, but no one made an effort to talk to me. Instead, they would either give me a disapproving look and walk away when I tried to join a conversation, or they would carry on talking to Stephen as if I hadn't even spoken by the end of the night. I was crying. The way everyone was treating me made me feel dehumanized and disgusted. Toward the end of the evening, the audience asked Laura and Eric to speak. They started to thank each other for having everyone in the room in their lives, despite the fact that I was tired and ready to go home. The visitors laughed as they continued to make jokes, and I got up to leave because I could take it no more. I sobbed all the way home after ordering an Uber. Stephen looked upset and frustrated when he finally got home. Why did you leave like that? You have no idea how humiliating that was for me. What are you talking about? Why don't you play do with me now? I replied, hurt. Many of the guests teased me for being with you, Elizabeth, and I had to endure my parents yelling at me. Are you serious? I shot back. Elizabeth, please hurry up. For crying out loud, it was my parents' anniversary, so you could have put up with it for one night. Everyone ignored me, so your parents decided to make fun of me during their toast. How can you think I'll accept that? You could have just gone through it, but I'm not saying what they did was right. What would that have done for me? I would have discussed it with them after. I dislike being placed in embarrassing situations. Everyone was making fun of me. It's the first time you've been in that situation. You can therefore discuss it as if it were unimportant. He insisted that you apologize to my parents. I also want one. Feeling confident, I responded, regretfully, I will not be doing that. Only if they apologize to me first will I do the same. I don't understand why I should apologize to you. You always defended me. Why this is any different is beyond me. This is not at all like that. Your parents humiliated me, your wife, in front of everyone, and you humiliated my family in front of all their visitors. My parents may have been correct about you. You're not possible. Before retiring to the guest bedroom to sleep, Stephen lost his temper. I couldn't comprehend why his behavior had changed so abruptly. Did he truly suffer that much? He was generally the first person to defend me after I left. Stephen didn't seem to care that I should have left when his parents said something harsh to show how awful they made me feel. When I tried to reach Stephen, he refused to talk to me, so I decided to apologize to Stephen's parents, which was embarrassing in and of itself, but I was willing to do it because I loved Stephen and didn't want this to be the thing that ended our relationship. I didn't hear from Stephen for a week, and his parents also texted me a lot, calling me unappreciative and embarrassing. Regretfully, things only got worse for me after that. Stephen's parents started hosting weekly family dinners after they retired, and he was always invited. The first time they hosted a super after our marriage, Stephen took me to their house with him, and I could feel the awkwardness from the moment I walked in. Laura didn't see me right away because she was busy getting dressed, but the siblings, Stephen and Eric, gave me a weird look. Stephen left me standing there alone while he caught up with his family, and they didn't say anything to me. Laura saw me and practically ran over when she finally made it downstairs. She demanded, "What are you doing here? Angry?" I replied, "Please pardon me." I was surprised. "No, I won't pardon you." "Why are you in my home right now?" I said. I'm trying not to lose my temper. "I invited Stephen because it's a family meal, and I'm a part of this family because I'm Stephen's wife, am I?" She became angry. "You have no place in this household as an orphan without a certain... You believed you could keep that information from us. You are completely out of my son's league, and we run background checks on the wives of our children. You will never be welcome here." "Why not? Is it the sole factor that decides whether or not I can join your family? You're impoverished and ugly. Our elite circles would never accept you. Why are you acting so shallowly? Do you feel afraid? I'll harm your standing. Simply by being? Are you not satisfied that I bring joy to your son? Many people would be billionaires if happiness could make one wealthy. You will never fit in with us for precisely this reason. Or perhaps because I respect people for who they truly are, I will never be as shallow as the rest of you. Before passing judgment on me, you didn't even try to get to know me. I'm pleased that I don't belong with you. Enough, Elizabeth. This is some cash. Take an Uber and head out." I looked with disbelief at Stephen. He thrust the money into my hands as he extended it, then turned back to face his mother, who gave me a sly smile. I turned and left with tears in my eyes. I'm devastated again. I cried the whole way home on Uber. I couldn't understand why Stephen had changed so much. Was this his attempt to patch things up with his parents after the party? I was angry with him because it hurt, whatever it was. Rather than standing up for me like he usually did, he was okay with his parents, insulting them with my past. I wanted to yell, but I knew that would only make me look worse and confirm their conclusions, so I turned to go. I tried to think about whether I had said something inappropriate, but I was certain that I hadn't. Stephen came home and resumed his disdain for me, and I felt so alone and my heart hurt that I couldn't bring myself to apologize again, even though I knew he expected it. I was just defending myself, and I did it coolly. After all, Stephen was upset with me for defending myself, and Laura had insulted me in the worst way, if anything. I felt he ought to apologize to me. For the following 2 weeks, I didn't communicate with Stephen. At first, I found it difficult, but I finally adjusted. The weekly family dinners continued, and I must admit that I was by myself at home during those evenings. I wasn't too bothered. My dad video called me, "Hey honey," on one of those evenings. They said hello. "Hello, my love. How are things going?" My father inquired. "Things are not going well, Mom and Dad. Tell us what's wrong, darling, and don't hesitate to seek assistance. I don't believe you folks can assist me with this." "Thank you for the offer, though," I answered. "Where is Stephen not assisting?" "That's the thing. He's part of the problem," my mother asked. "Could you perhaps elaborate on the nature of the issue, my dear?" my father inquired. His parents, however, are extremely snobbish and fairly affluent. I clarified. "Oh, I hate people like that," my mother said. She said angrily. "Anyway, tell me about it." "They think I'm just a poor girl who can't live up to their standards and fit in with their social elite. Every time I see them, they try to make me look stupid." "What on earth?" my mother cried out. "Yes, exactly. And Stephen's mother thought it was funny to call me an orphan the last time I was there." "Oh, I'm gonna rip her face off, that woman. She's calling my lovely child an orphan. How could she?" Are they unaware of us? What on earth has Stephen been up to during this whole situation? I knew my parents' opinion of me would change if they found out about me, so I kept it a secret. Instead of my wealth, I wanted them to like me for who I am. It's strange that I don't mind that we haven't spoken in 2 weeks. Okay, my love, I'll put you in touch with one of my friends there. Don't worry that we can't help you. We might even be able to help you get a little sweet retribution, I think. Are you sure you want to be with this man, honey? My mother asked. What do you mean, huh? Your dad and I are going there next week. We wanted to take you and him on a trip even though we can now do more things together without Stephen. Oh my God, really? I am so excited to see you both again in person. That gave me the lift I needed for the first time in a long time. I was genuinely happy. We talked for a little while longer. After he explained how he was going to help me, my dad asked where these family get-togethers were held. As far as I knew, Stephen's parents took turns hosting at their house and in different locations. The week my folks were visiting, the dinner was conveniently scheduled at a restaurant, and I needed to find out exactly where to take it so I could show it to my parents. Fortunately, I had Stephen's email on my phone, and I knew Laura and Eric liked to email everyone about everything, so it wasn't hard to find the place, and I told my folks. We began the divorce filing process at the same time that I got a call from my mom's legal buddy. I went to see my parents when they checked into their hotel when they arrived in the United States, and we had dinner together, and since they felt I deserved it, they paid for my spa a day after that. My parents arrived at the restaurant while Stephen and his family were eating, and my dad says Laura and Eric started whispering as they arrived. Oh my God. Why have you come here, Mr. Larry? Ooh. Whoa. I thought I might stop by and have dinner with some of your familiar faces because I happened to spot some of them. Mr. Larry? By whom are you referring? Okay. Stephen is here. Hi, it's wonderful to meet you. Your daughter has been talking about you a lot. But where is my daughter, by the way? Mom later told me that she recognized him and that the exchange went like this. Hello, my dad said. We didn't know you had a daughter, Mr. Larry. I have a daughter, of course, and she's married to Stephen. I'm sorry, but I think you're wrong. Yes, Elizabeth is his wife, and she was an orphan. Yes, we adopted her because I know that. I'm afraid you're wrong, your daughter. She should be right, but I doubt she's here. I apologize. Please, excuse me. Yes, you are her father, and she doesn't seem to be here. She told me she had some problems with her in-laws, but now I know what the problem is. It's you. No. She kept this crucial information from us. You would have treated her better if we had known. She didn't want you to be nice to her because of her past. Unfortunately, she asked me to give it to Stephen. My dad left after I gave him the divorce papers, and then a number of investors left Eric's company after only a few phone conversations. It was satisfying to watch them fall to the level they had previously mocked. Stephen's family sent me a lot of nasty named texts, and others begged me to talk to my father and ask him about his behavior. Fortunately, Stephen signed the divorce papers with ease, and after that I went on a long trip with my parents, had a wonderful time, and slowly began to heal. Losing the love of my life was painful, but I also realized how important it is to defend oneself. I will always be grateful for everything my parents have done for me, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else the future has in store.